Hello, this is Silver Bullet, and I'm going to show you real quick the basics of Dead by Daylight, how to play it. I might try to get into a little quick game, but really just to break it down as to how the game, what the game is and stuff. It's a 4-player asymmetrical horror game. There is a killer who is on the right now. He's all mummified up and pretty cool looking. There's 3 different killers in total. And the right here below my face is a be a killer option, which you can do. Behind that, or on the bottom of that, is a kill your friends option where you can host a private match and host your friends. More on that later. And also you could be a survivor. Survivors are 4 people in a game typically, so it's 5 people in total. Survivors' objectives when you're a survivor is basically this. So when you're a survivor, you can't kill the killer, you can't attack the killer, you're basically at the mercy of the killer. You try to run away from the killer, but the killer can fuck you up. Now, the way the whole game works is that the survivors are basically stuck in a map somewhere with 5 generators, well, more than 5 generators, probably like I think 6 or 7 or 8 sometimes. Generators strewn all around the map. It's all fenced in though, and what the survivors need to do, all 4 of them, they need to kick off 5 generators. Now it takes time to use the 5 generators, and you'll also hit some quick time events while you're trying to repair these generators. If you fail to repair these generators, you're going to cause a spark and make noise, and you're going to be sad. I'm going to actually try to join a lobby potentially and get into one to show you. Actually, it's probably not a good idea to do that. So you're trying to repair generators. Once you have 5 generators repaired, the gate alarms will sound. There's going to be 2 gates per each map typically, and the maps are sort of, they're randomly chosen, but you can have some influence over that, which we'll get more into shortly too as well. And yeah, so there's 2 gates that open, or that activate. You'll hear them and you'll see them appear on the map. You have to go to one of those 2. You hold the switch down, basically, and that takes another 30 seconds, give or take. And once that gets filled up, the gate opens and you can run the hell out. And once you run out, basically you win. You survived, and you should pat yourself on the back because it's a pretty good accomplishment doing that. However, of course, there's the killer. The killer is trying to stop you. He wants to kill everybody, but he is not your typical killer like Jason in the terms of he kills you right away. No, he plays with you a bit. So the killer has sort of 2 basic attacks. There's 3 types of killers. We'll get into them more. But in essence, they have a main attack, a melee attack. If they hit you once when you're a survivor, you're going to be injured, typically. When you're injured, you'll sort of bleed, you'll be louder. You do not want to hide in closets. There are closets in the game that you can hide in. You do not want to hide in them when you're wounded because you're making noise and the killer can find you really easily and just grab you. So when you're injured, you're running around and trying to still avoid being caught by the killer. If the killer whacks you a second time, you fall down on the ground and you're basically crawling, and this is where the killer can pick you up. When the killer picks you up, you'll be prompted to smash A and D on the keypad. This will allow you to wiggle. This is annoying for the killer because the killer will try to walk straight but then be like tossed left and right by your weight. And additionally, you'll notice a bar when you're wiggling. When you're wiggling, if the bar fills up all the way, you break free of the killer's grip, and the killer drops you and is stunned for a second or 2, which allows you to run the hell out because you get put back into injured status instead of crawling status. However, what the killer is doing when he picks you up, and what you want to do as the killer when you pick survivors up, is drag them to a hook. You will see hooks highlighted throughout the map as soon as you pick up a survivor. When you do that, you want to approach the hook, you'll hold space, and you'll throw the guy on the hook. That's not it for the survivor though. There's a couple more mechanics here that happen that are pretty simple. Let's switch back to the survivors just because I'm talking about the survivors. When you are on a hook, you have a couple options. You basically can hold mouse 1 to try to break free. Now there's a 10% chance of getting away with this. It's not a very good chance, and also you get really punished if you fail. Basically, You don't want to do that unless you think that it's your best shot of getting out. Your other fellow survivors, you're going to be able to see where they are and see if they're going to come to help you. And if they're not, and the killer is camping you, you might want to be honorable and sort of just wait there. Allow the killer to just devote his attention to you while your other survivors get generators and hopefully escape. But really, it's up to you. I wouldn't recommend doing it though, because it's so punishing. You'll notice basically a bar in the bottom left corner when you're in game, where the that will slowly decrease. When that gets to 0, that basically means you're dead. These hooks come down, stab you in the stomach and all over the place, and kill you, and you're dead, and you can just rest in peace, and all that good stuff. It's saddening in a way, but you know, that's just life. Once you're dead, you can just leave the game, join a new lobby, rinse, repeat over and over. It's a whole lot of fun though. As the killer, on the other hand, once you've eliminated one survivor, you're feeling good, and you try to eliminate the other survivors. Some tips and tricks of things I've noticed. Survivors do not run faster than the killer. However, they maneuver better than the killer is what I'm going to announce it as. The survivors can basically jump through windows faster than the killer, and there's also pallets that you'll pass by that you can push down that'll get in the killer's way. If he was standing in the zone where the pallet was, he'll get stunned, and it's really sort of frustrating for the killer. And so you sort of like to find long strands of what is it? Walls, basically, with like a window, and you like to hop into the window because the killer can't get you through the window. He can try to climb the window, but that'll give you enough time to run around to the other side of the wall and laugh at him, and as he tries to run back, and you can just keep doing this back and forth. And ideally, like, that's really good strategy as a survivor, because you're distracting the killer, which is opening up your other survivor pals to go do whatever the hell you want. So that's sort of a very basic breakdown of how the survivors work. You can actually play as each survivor. They have items, offerings, you can customize them. Right now there's a couple different rewards. I like to have the guy with the mustache because he reminds me of me, and he's wearing glasses. Each of the characters has a specific level. We'll get into that shortly. There's items that you pick up. You can pick them up in the game, and you can also get rewarded from them with the blood web. And also there's perks. Perks are basically status effects or different, modifiers for your specific person. They could affect the whole group potentially, but typically do not. I think as you level up, as you get further and further into the levels of the blood web, you get more and more perks, and some of them are like really good. There was one person that I was playing against that was like level 36 or something ridiculous with their one character, and they were able to self-heal, which is just ridiculously awesome, without a med kit. So they could just heal anytime if you let them get away. I ended up killing him. Fun fact, he actually rage quit. It made me very happy. But it was like, there's some good perks in there. Lastly, there's items. Items are things you can sort of bring with you on a adventure, I'm going to call it, or a running the fuck away from the killer. Each of the items sort of offer different things. The first aid kit allows you to heal yourself, which is really nice and can be very helpful. It allows you to heal others at increased speeds. It doesn't last for a very long time though, so take it. I normally would use it to heal myself if I got hurt, but I was able to get away, because it's really bad when you're wailing and crying about that's what your character does when he's injured, and it's not good. The map, I think the map is sort of somewhat useless, but the map basically, you can use it to find the objectives in the area. It'll highlight the generators that are nearby, which is helpful if you sort of get lost and you're like, okay, I need to find the generator because the killer's not near me and I need to be productive. There's also a toolbox that I don't have on me right now. The toolbox basically allows you to do a couple neat things. It allows you to repair generators faster. You can use it on that basically, or you can actually use it to sabotage hooks, which is really nice because the killer then has to potentially walk a longer distance to get to another hook, which might give the survivor enough time to wiggle out and get the hell out of there and start running away if enough hooks are destroyed. It's actually changed a bit. The toolbox is not nearly as useful as it was in the beta. It was a little overpowered in the beta, so you would have like literally the only hooks that you had available were the ones in your basement as the killer, and we'll get into the basement momentarily. One other thing that you also have are add-ons, and these you also get from the Blood Web, which we also haven't talked about yet, but don't worry, we're going to get there soon. Basically, these add-ons enhance the items that you have equipped. So bandages, they add 8 more charges to the med kit. This reduces charges by 25%, but it instantly heals 1 health state on secondary action. And you know, they do different things. They modify the weapons up. One thing with inventory and items, if you use them while you're out there, they're gone, obviously. However, if you survive, whatever items you have in your hand, they come with you if you get away. There's a bit of a difference with them versus the killers. Offerings are basically when you start a game, when you join a game and the game starts, you can throw an offering in there. These burn away, so these are like one-time uses per match. They vary the game up a little bit. Some of them impact the game more than others. Some of them make it so it's more likely a certain level will be picked. Some of them give you bonuses for blood points. Blood points are used in the Blood Web, and again, we're going to get to that soon. And then there's also some other things such as it can modify the lighting a bit. It can modify how much fog there is. They're sort of neat. They're not like they're not game breakers by any means, but they're like small little modifiers that can change things. The killers can have one like fancy offering where they can actually kill somebody on the ground with a certain offering. They can kill one or many survivors with that. Last is the perks, which I already went through, and again, there's that. So lastly, Blood Web. Blood Web is basically what you use your blood points on. You earn blood points every match, and you earn them through actions. That's also how you rank up or down. Survivor rank 20 is actually, don't get me confused, I know I'm really awesome, but Survivor rank 20 is actually the lowest rank here. You start at rank 20, you go down in rank when you rank up. So if you meet somebody who's like rank 3, that person's really fucking good because they've won multiple times, and also the ranking system is sort of a little broken right now because like if you lose one match, you're going to go down rank real fast and you get sad. Anyway, the Blood Web is where you spend your blood points to buy things. And basically, you'll see here I have a Blood Web. I purchased all these things, so I have a new perk. That was 8,000 blood points. I've got a leather grip in my inventory that I can use at some point. I've got a fragrant sweet William. These are things I haven't bought yet, but I can buy. So you just hold and click, and the funds will go away from your blood bank pool. So I'll pick up the rubber gloves. Now I can use these rubber gloves because this slightly decreases the healing skill check difficulty, which is cool. When you fill up the Blood Web, you level up and you get a random assortment of different new items that you can invest into and perks. Now the whole thing is procedurally generated, which is really cool, so you don't know what you're going to get. Your Blood Web at level 8 will not be the same as this Blood Web. There might be some different items, there might be a different perk, you might get some ultra rare perks that are really cool to have and are awesome and stuff. The max level, I believe, is 50, and once you hit 50, you can still fill up Blood Webs, and I believe it repeats infinitely, so you can still keep getting more perks and more items to use in matches. I think that basically covers the full survivors. You can choose from 4 survivors, and each of them have their own level. As you see here, I've only used Dwight because he's fucking Dwight, and why not? I do believe that some of the other survivors have slightly different unique perks to them, as well as having perks that overlap with each other, so I would say just pick the person you want to play as or looks cool. And I mean, there's really no harm in switching. You might, it's cool to level them all up, I would say. And yeah, so Survivor rank is that, and I think that covers survivors fully. Finally, let's switch roles here. We do have 3 different types of killers, and the depending on the killer you're playing against, the gameplay can change quite a bit. Now, similar to survivors, killers have a power, an item, but these are just called powers, and these are permanent to that killer. They're unique for each different killer, as you can see. So the trapper has a bear trap that he can place around the map. This is insanely great for map control and sort of baiting killers into the bear trap, because they'll get caught and then you can just slash them and then laugh and pick them up and then throw them on a hook somewhere. I actually have a video that I'd highly recommend if you want to see like a beautiful trap game that was back in the beta. That was way back when there were some like abuses and pathing and stuff. You could see some jukes that I end up actually countering, which was really nice. Anyway, the bear trap, you can have items to add-ons to these, and again enhance how the bear trap works. So with this add-on, I can set bear traps up a little faster, and if somebody gets caught in it, it's a little harder to get out of it, and it's harder to rescue someone from it, things like that. Additionally, they have killers have offerings. These again are very similar, but are more helpful towards, well, potentially helpful towards the killer, and or just like this one's a really good one. It creates an additional sacrificial hook that the killer can use. This one is just 25 bonus blood points. There's a couple that can affect fog as well and things like that. And finally, there's perks as well. So there's different perks, very similar to the survivors, but the real difference here with the killers is that each killer is rather different, plays differently. So the trapper, he is a lot of fun to play as. If you play as him, you can basically get map control, which is pretty important if you're able to have time to do it. When you're the trapper, you'll start off with a bear trap, and you're going to want to place it down in just an area that seems like a lovely place for a survivor to run through, such as a place with a pallet or things like that the survivor goes, sees, oh, this will be great, I'm getting chased by the killer, I can just go into the pallet and block his way and then continue on my way. I would highly recommend like placing bear traps as fast as you can in useful spots, and like heading toward other bear traps while also going to the different generators. As a killer, you see where the generators are. Oh, I didn't get into sound gameplay and stuff. I'll get into that at the end. So yeah, as the trapper, you move at normal speed at all time, but you have traps to lay down, and you can, when you put somebody on a hook, you can put a trap underneath them, which is a typical strategy that many people employ. A lot of survivors can actually disarm it without a toolkit. They can disarm it themselves. However, it does take time. So you do want to be careful that you're paying attention. If you put a trap under a survivor's hook, you do want to make sure as soon as you see that hook like just go off because a survivor disarmed it, you want to head back to that hook to try to like recapture the survivor. Also, side note, as a survivor, you can rescue other people that are on hooks. It's very, very quick to do this. It takes like 5 seconds, if that. Does help a whole lot to do that. It also gives you a lot of points. And can also lead to the downfall of the survivors, because everybody's going to rescue that one guy who got caught in a hook, and now everybody's trying to save him. Nobody's working on the generators, and the killer's going around whacking everybody because they're all nearby. But yeah, so that's the trapper in essence. The Wrath is, I think, probably the hardest to play as in a weird way. He has a bell. When you hold the right click, basically, you'll ring the bell, and the players can hear this, everybody can hear this. And it basically turns you invisible, and you move fast, and your sound is silenced. So it is actually really easy, like if somebody's running through an area, you're going to hear them if you're running by. And you're running faster, so it's a really good way to find like survivors pretty quickly. However, you can attack while you're invisible, so you have to ring the bell again, which takes some time, it slows you down, and then you materialize back into the real world. And then you end up having to chase them and whack them with your weird bone sword, which I don't know why. It's Azerov's axe, but that does not look like an axe to me. I don't know, it's a very weird axe. But That's the Wrath in essence. Again, he has add-ons too toward his power-up. He's probably the hardest to use though, because if you have a good survivor, he's going to be out juking you. He's going to be jumping through windows left and right and annoying the shit out of you. Now, don't get dismayed if you encounter a survivor like this. Basically, you want to either say fuck it, that survivor can just do whatever he wants and go find another survivor, or challenge him, keep the pressure on him. Eventually he'll fuck up, make a mistake, you can capitalize on it, hit him, take him down, and then hook him, because it's the most satisfying feeling when you have a guy who's really good at the game that you take down. Last but not least is the Hillbilly. This guy is definitely inspired by the the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's got a weird fucked up face, and he has like hair on the back of his head. I don't know why. He also just looks pretty goddamn cool. He has a hammer as his main weapon. The weapons are just cosmetic. They don't actually, affect anything. But the one thing he does have is the chainsaw. And I think this is the most powerful killer in the game right now, once you get used to using him. When you start the chainsaw, you'll basically you'll have it up in the air and you will sprint. You will go pretty damn fast. You'll have problems turning left and right, but you use the mouse and you just like steer yourself. But it's limited steering. But you can zoom across the map all over the place, trying to find people and covering like vast amounts of areas in small amounts of time. And if you happen to hit somebody with the chainsaw, they're instantly knocked down. They're in a dying state. You can then pick them up, throw them on a hook, and laugh and be super happy. He's definitely if you encounter him, if you're facing off against him, the strategy for him is really like not going a straight line when he's in a saw, using the saw. Like make sure you're near a wall that you can hide behind when he uses the saw, and generally just try to avoid him. And avoid all of these guys. The Wrath, he's harder to avoid just because he has an easier job of finding you. You really want to just try to out-juke him as best you can and then just annoy the shit out of him when you're playing against him. Evan, if you find him, you want to out-juke him. However, be very careful that wherever you're running to doesn't have a fucking bear trap, because it's the most frustrating thing when you're like, ha, I'm getting away, everything is great. I just hit a bear trap, and then Evan's there to pick you up and to carry you away while laughing. His name is Evan, by the way. I don't know why. I think it's like sort of like Jason. A few other things. Sound is incredibly good at this game. As a survivor, when the killer is near you, you'll start to hear a heartbeat. This means that the killer is nearby, and you should probably freak the fuck out and move away from whatever area you're in. Killers will hear things like if the survivors fuck up repairing the generator, they'll hear it, and they'll also see it like on their map. They'll see it become a circle, so they might want to go and investigate, try to find where that survivor is. Anyway, I think that's a pretty quick wrap up. If I missed anything, let me know. Hope you enjoyed and have an excellent one. If you have any questions, comments, or anything, just let me know. Have an excellent one, and cheers. Have fun killing people. Oh, there's actually one last thing. Something that the game is right now, I think, mostly positive, and a lot of people right now are like bitching and moaning about the game not allowing people to get into. This is going to be a rant here, so you can just skip this part. But basically, people are bitching and moaning how don't buy this game for a group of friends right now, because you can't form a party as survivors at the moment. They did this on purpose initially. They're changing their minds on that, and I think they're going to be changing it. It's right now still rated mostly positive, but one of the main reactions that the community is having is basically, oh man, I can't join this with a bunch of friends. The game was balanced for that. There's a text chat in the lobby before you start a game, so you can talk with your survivors. But once you're in the game, there's no way to talk to your survivors. And I think there's a balance to that. So if you're getting chased by the killer, I don't know this because I don't have that information. If we're on a team, you can then tell me, oh, I'm chasing the killer, I'm distracting the killer, everybody work on generators. And you can become super duper efficient. but it doesn't, that loses the balance. That information right there loses the balance, and it's just not a good way to punish them for the game. Now they will be implementing that mode apparently anyway, so it'll be interesting seeing a lot more survivors being super efficient. I think it'll be sort of unfortunate to a degree, but really as killer, if I can kill at least 1 or 2 people, I call it a happy day. And also I don't give a fuck, I can take anybody on. But yeah, no, it's right now the way to play with friends in this game is to get 4 to 5 friends, ideally 5, host a private game, and then play together, rather than hopping around in lobbies and hoping to find your friends, because it pisses everybody off, and it's going to be very hard to find your friends by just repeatedly joining the lobby and hoping that you happen to get in with them. Anyway, that's my rant. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any comments, let me know. And cheers. Ba-da-da-da-da-da.